Hello, my name is Lucas. This is a Bit of Lit. I'm here to talk about a biography on Kurt Vonnegut. This is an informal review. I said I'd be making more formal ones, but I've been reading this book or trying to read it for like 3 weeks now. And I finally finished it over the last 3 days, basically, or 2 days. And then, yeah, I had taken quite a long break from reading once my holiday started. Now I came back to reading just before my holiday, just in a way to get my mind more active again, because I'll be going to work again tomorrow. So I just, wanted to, I was very happy to relax. But I've been reading about a really dull person in a fairly decent biography. It is by Charles J. Shields, and So It Goes, Kurt Vonnegut, Life. He is a bit controversial he writes literary biographies, biographies on people and literature. If you're wondering why I'm wearing these warm clothes, it's because I don't have heat. Again, for the second winter in a row. Anyway, he wrote some books on Harper Lee, which were very controversial. He wrote a book on Lorraine Hansberry, who wrote A Raisin in the Sun, which is an excellent, excellent play. And then he wrote a book about John Williams, the author of Stoner. I believe it's called The Man Who Wrote the Perfect Novel, which I will never read that book. Just based on the name. Okay. Stoner, the perfect novel. Are you kidding me? I know a lot of people love it, but it's just okay at best for me. So anyway, let's actually talk about Kurt Vonnegut. This is a very dark portrayal of Kurt Vonnegut. I've been reading this because I wanted to start a series on sort of a life of an author, which I'm for now calling the Who Is ... series. Who is Kurt Vonnegut in this case? And I've read all his nonfiction, and I've read this biography, which was fine, pretty good, very interesting in some ways. The man himself, Kurt Vonnegut, very dull, very boring, not interesting to me at all in any way. But I was very interested to see the things that were going on in his life as he was, what he was thinking about during the creation of his different novels. I didn't know anything about what was going on in his mind for some of his later novels. I learned a lot about, for Cat's Cradle, for Player Piano, for Slaughterhouse-Five from his nonfiction, Kurt Vonnegut's nonfiction. But anyway, like I said, this book is a very dark portrayal of Kurt Vonnegut. I believe there is a sort of counterpoint biographical kind of film, documentary about Kurt Vonnegut that came out last year called Kurt Vonnegut on Second Time. It would be nice to read that or watch that to get sort of a more positive, happy seeming, at least from the, there's going to be some dark stuff because I'm sure they're going to talk about Dresden, but and maybe his family life, which was anyway, it would be nice to get to see that, but I want to put more money into this man. I don't. So my research will be incomplete, but that's okay, I guess. Anyway, let's actually talk about the novel. I'm not going to say too much about what happens in his life, but I did learn he was not a very good father, kind of self-absorbed in his own work, definitely immature throughout his whole life, a bit doesn't do it justice, arrogant, selfish, and also not a good husband, constantly cheating and coming up with all kinds of affairs. It was really cool to learn about all the influences, especially for his earlier novels, when he was not quite so grouchy and grumpy and bitter and miserable. Um, yeah, it was kind of interesting to learn about those things. It is fascinating to learn that he sort of peaked with Slaughterhouse-Five, then Breakfast of Champions came out, and I believe it was Slapstick next. Jailbird, Dead-Eye Dick, Hocus Pocus, and then Timequake or some. Bluebeard is in there somewhere, I think before Hocus Pocus. But he peaked with Slaughterhouse-Five. Just before that, he'd really picked up a lot of steam, was becoming very popular, but also putting on a facade in a similar way that Mark Twain, his favorite author, who he named his first son after, played a big role in his public persona, which was a fraud, according to this. And yeah, it's fascinating to see the way he really changes and becomes a lot more bitter, according to this biography, which I have some gripes with. According to this biography, he becomes a lot more bitter as his, once he finally reaches fame, once his novels start getting panned again, basically. He starts getting upset and saying, the literati are after me. They're trying to put me down just because I'm not well read and I don't know, I don't have a broad understanding of literature, which I don't think you necessarily need, don't get me wrong, but, they're trying to put me down. I think that's funny. Yeah, and then just continues after Slaughterhouse-Five to publish like novels that don't do well and are critically panned, but sell well in some cases. I've learned a lot about how cynical he is from his nonfiction. There is a part in here I learned from the internet and from, I believe, maybe one of his nonfiction books mentioned it. I can't remember. Maybe I just learned it from the internet before I read this book about his attempt on his own life. Apparently, he was quite depressed. His books hadn't been going well. He felt really bitter, and it wasn't just that. I mean, he'd seen a lot of horrible things in his life and had a lot of really tragic events in his life. His sister dying young, his mother dying young, taking her own life. Of course, he went and saw the firebombing of Dresden, and these kind of things. He had antidepressants and alcohol and sleeping pills. Apparently, his son Mark said he wasn't really trying, because if he was, he wouldn't still be here, basically, which is quite dark. But then there is this other line right after that one, and this is where I have a problem with how serious I should take this biography, because it makes the claim that his motivation was basically out of spite, in a way, to have revenge against the people putting him down, to put these bad, sort of negative emotions on them so they can feel guilty about what's happened to him. And the source for that claim comes from like a medical journal or some book about people who try to take their own life. Now, if you are following along with the conceit of the arguments and the portrayal of Kurt Vonnegut as it's put in this whole biography. It, that tracks in a way. He was quite selfish, quite self-absorbed and bitter at people who didn't like his work, didn't praise his work. But where did you get that idea? And I know it came from that book that isn't related to Kurt Vonnegut. But what? What? That made me so mad. That made me so angry. Anyway, apparently later in his life as well, he, near in his late 70s, he took a position to teach at a very women's college, or Smith is what it's called. And he was very upset that their libraries didn't have a full collection of all his works. And he tried to donate all his works, and without doing the paperwork, and that was sort of frowned upon. And we weren't very happy. He left because he was causing some trouble and making people angry, and he was tired of people trying to take away his free speech and that kind of stuff. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of other really interesting tidbits like that. But at least, actually from reading his nonfiction, the idea behind the portrayal of Kurt Vonnegut in this book does make sense. It does sort of follow the idea that I had of Kurt Vonnegut from his fiction and his nonfiction, although there are some dubious claims, I would say, in this that I don't know how seriously you can take it, which is why it would be nice to watch Unstuck in Time to get a more friendly position. Seems like the person who made it was a friend of Vonnegut, but then that has its own problems, right? Anyway, if you really want to know more about him, there's a lot of really interesting stuff to learn about Kurt Vonnegut from it. I will be putting a lot of that in my first Who Is video and stuff from his nonfiction. And what I can find of, little snippets here and there of clips of Unstuck in Time, which I would like to watch, but I don't want to put any more money into. These books are enough. Thankfully, I already own most of the Vonnegut books because when I was younger, I really liked Vonnegut. I don't know why, but I did. I guess, what's really funny? A lot of critics, especially one friend of Vonnegut's, when he lived in Cape Cod, basically said, Kurt Vonnegut writes for immature people who aren't very good readers, and said he doesn't really try hard because his readers aren't good readers, or believes they're not good readers, so he doesn't challenge them in any way, and he's also immature. I don't remember exactly what it was. I'll put it in the Who Is video because I just thought that was really funny. But he's not the only person who said these kind of things. And you know what? I'm glad that I am not the only person who feels that way. I feel validated. I think he's really immature. And I already thought he was one problem I really have with the book, I guess, is that, okay, it really validates my opinions. But those are direct sources from reviews, so, okay, that's other people in a way. This is why I really want to watch Unstuck in Time. I'm not going to watch it after I finish this whole little project thing, because I don't care about Kurt Vonnegut, but I do want to watch it for the project thing, but I don't want to pay for it, because I've put too much. Anyway, because of this book, and the few that I'm going to have to pick up, like Timequake and Slapstick, and I think I have Bluebeard. I don't have Jailbird and Deadeye Dick, but that's quite a few books. Hopefully they'll go on sale at some point. That would be nice, but I'm going on too long. I feel validated by it, and I want to see something that can show me something nice. But then it's going to be a public persona thing, and it's like something he agreed to do. So of course he's going to put on a certain image and all kinds of problems. Anyway, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on this. Next time you see me do a review, it will be more formal. But I just wanted to. I've been spending a lot of time on this book, so goodbye.